It's been a really fun summer for me. I'm going to be a senior this year, and gone through quite a few summers, and it's kind of been interesting to look back. And this summer, it's probably one of the only summers I haven't picked out most days and looked over at my mom and gone, "Can you give me something to do? I don't really know what to do yet." Usually during my summers, I'll go back and I'll have something planned on Friday or Saturday or something in the middle of the week. And this summer, it's been work or hanging out with friends every single day, and it's just been a great summer. And we've been pretty busy. We are pretty busy in general. We have school, work, friends, family, church, a bunch of other stuff that keeps our minds occupied and our schedules filled. But how often do we think to have service in our lives? How often do we sit down and think, how can I help somebody today? How can I go out and serve somebody today? The last 2 weeks I've thought more and more about service. And I haven't been doing that much of it this summer. And I've been going to work a lot, and I actually got called into work the other day when my brother's Eagle Scout project was going on, and I didn't get to go to that. And I actually feel really bad about that. Sorry, Brooke. But I've just been thinking about it more and more, and it's just hard to, with everything that we've got going on, to think about putting service into our daily lives. When just noticing how many times I can serve, when I've also noticed opportunities for others to do it. Back when last semester I took a class it was psychology, and we studied this thing called the diffusion of responsibility. And it's when there's something that needs doing. And the example was there's a homeless man on the street he was pretending to be ill, and they had a couple of cameras on him. And they wanted to see how many people would stop and help this man. And they counted hundreds of people walking past him, and there were a few good Samaritans in the crowd that stopped and asked if they were okay. He would stand up and say he wasn't hurt, but it was just to see how many people would stop, despite what they had going on, despite what they were going to, and help this man. And I used to take a class for lifeguarding about 2 years ago, and we had CPR training, and we went through, and they taught us during CPR, the main thing they really drilled into our heads is when you're doing CPR and there's a crowd around, you don't say, "Someone call 911. You have to say, "You call 911. You have to point to somebody, and you have to look them directly in the eye and make sure they heard you. And that's to stop the diffusion of responsibility, so everybody just assumes somebody else is going to call 911. And that's what we need to do with service, is we don't need to assume that somebody else is going to serve another person. We need to take action and serve them. Assuming the responsibility that it is yours is not an easy thing to do, but it's worth it. Gordon B. Hinckley said, "One of the greatest ironies of life is this: he or she who serves almost always benefits more than the person served." And I just thought that was really interesting, that if we're taking time out and freely giving our talents and our time to help somebody, that we're going to benefit more than they are. And a few years ago, the question was asked to President Thomas S. Monson, what is the greatest, it was on his birthday, and they asked, what is the greatest gift members around the world can give you? Without a moment's hesitation, he said, find somebody who is having a hard time and help them. There are people around us that need our help. There are potentially limitless opportunities for us to serve others. If we can, and we should. We need to be the answer to another person's prayer. Sometimes we might feel like we're not good enough, or that our service doesn't matter, that we're too small to do anything. As I was preparing for this talk, I was going through and watching a lot of morning messages and researching quotes on service and things like that. And I found this video called "One Person at a Time." And it's about a quorum of kids that instead of saying, next week, everybody come back, tell me how you served one person, they all coordinated and they were going to go help a less active member in the church, and they were going to go to his wrestling match and support him. And I just thought that was really cool, because if you have a specific goal in mind, if you say, I'm going to go help this person, or I'm going to go try and find somebody, it's easier to help somebody. but we don't always have a group supporting us. There's a story we also learned about in seminary, and it's called the starfish story. And it's about a little girl on a beach, and she's walking along, and there's all these starfish dried up on the beach. And she's walking along, and she's picking them up one by one and throwing them in the ocean. And the man jogs by, and he sees her and stops and says, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm throwing the starfish back in the ocean so that they can live, so that they'll be all right." And he looks down the beach, and he sees thousands of starfish lining the beach, and he says, "You can't possibly get to all these starfish. You can't do it. You're just one person. How can you make a difference?" And she picks up a starfish, and she throws it in and says, "I made a difference to that one." She made a difference to one person, and that's all we really need to do, is make a difference to one person. Lately, I've been having my friends and seeing my friends go to missions, and they're all leaving for 2 years. And some of my closer friends that are not members of the church are asking me if I'm going to go next year, because that time is rapidly approaching. And I tell them yes, and they say, "Why? Why would you go and waste 2 years of your time out for the church?" And it's hard to explain that I don't think it's a waste of time. I think that if I go out, I can make a difference, and it's hard to just see all my friends think that it doesn't make a difference, and it's a waste of 2 years, and you should go, get on with your life and go to school. But I think it's right to serve a mission, and it's hard to go against what they think and go with what I feel is right. One of my favorite things I saw when I was researching was a quote. I can't remember who it was by, but it said, "I don't want my life defined by what is etched in a tombstone. I want it to be defined by what is etched in the lives and hearts of those that I touched." I'd like to bear my testimony that I know that service will help you throughout your lives, and I know that if you can find somebody who's having a bad day and make a difference in their life, that you will be blessed. And I challenge you to be the answer to another's prayer. Say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.